alright, jeez, calm down. Hi, I'm Tuftdog. You can find me on Twitter now. I like to tweet stuff and pretend that I have followers, just a passion of mine. Anyways, ever since a bunch of you noticed that I've been running a sniper on the Avenger instead of the old build that I was running, I've had a lot of requests to put out my new build for her, so yeah, let's just jump right in. Oh, before we do, if you like this guy, don't forget to leave a like to let me know, and if you're new around here, consider subscribing as well. If you really like this guide, you can hit that little bell below the video, and then you'll get a notification every time I post a new one. So, okay, now let's go. Here we go! The Avenger is simultaneously your combat medic, your objective god, and your scary enemy assassinator all at the same time. She's really a jack of all trades, but master of them all as well. And she's also a Janice, not a... Alright, this derailed quickly. Anyways, her unique skill set allows her to, in my opinion, be easily the strongest character in the multiplayer. I usually try to avoid saying things like that because balance updates mean that power levels are very fluid, and I also know that a lot of you guys really enjoy how I try to give you realistic expectations instead of overselling a kid with silly clickbait and all that kind of stuff. But the Avenger has consistently been a wrecking ball. I honestly believe that she's legitimately in a tier of her own. But that's enough fangirling. This build is based around being a stealth sniper with our stickies and an Invisicharge to complement it. So yeah, let's go look at the talents. First up is our stickies. We're going to be using stickies in a variety of ways, but the general idea is basically always the same. You're just going to be blowing shit up. Sometimes we're going to use stickies to finish off an enemy while reloading, sometimes we'll use them to nuke a pack of dogs, sometimes just to stagger an enemy because they panic when they get stuck, and so on and so forth. You get the idea. At ranks 2 and 3, we grab a capacity boost and then a damage boost. At rank 4, we have to pick up either damage or radius. Now, the radius is already good enough to hit multiple dogs or both turrets on a destroyer when placed well, so a radius upgrade is really borderline useless in my opinion. Damage provides a nice boost that we consistently benefit from, so this tier is really an easy choice. At rank 5, we have to choose either capacity or shrapnel. Shrapnel's overall damage increase is mediocre at best, and we're using stickies for burst, not so much to place dots on enemies, so capacity just really kind of contributes more to what we're aiming to achieve. Another excellent reason to opt for capacity is dogs take 2 stickies to kill. Carrying 4 means that you can comfortably dispatch 2 packs of dogs in between refills instead of 1. It's also kind of nice to have your sticky and stealth grid counts align, and assuming you opt for the same talents that I suggest, you'll be sitting at 4 and 4. At rank 6, we grab anti-armor. Very rarely is it worth using a sticky on a shielded enemy, and armored enemies are abundant in platinum. Additionally, all of the boss types have armor of some variety, so it really helps to give a significant boost to the burst you can put into those bosses should you need to spam stickies to wound them while also killing nearby trash or whatever. Anti-armor is just overall a really excellent talent. Stealth Grid is really our core ability. It has borderline infinite uses. Most notably, we're going to be using it to stealth res dumb friends and to cheese objectives. When an ally gets downed, most of the time they go down in a shit position. If you weren't aware, Stealth Grid actually works on dying people too. So this means when you rush in to save the day, you're going to want to pop a Stealth Grid on that dying ally before you start the res. That way, once the res is completed, both you and the ally have a brief moment of safety to reposition. Stealth Grid is an obnoxiously powerful utility for literally all of the objective waves. You can cloak yourself for allies that are hacking a device, you can cloak yourself for allies that are running pizza deliveries, you can use it to stealth cap objectives, you can safely navigate to assassination targets. It's pretty much boundless on the ways that it can carry you through those objective waves. One thing to be aware of is that Stealth Grid doesn't boost the damage of stickies, but it's also not broken by using stickies. So if you're slow to recloak and you accidentally pull an enemy or two while you're solo capping an upload or a hack or whatever, you can actually just spam your stickies while cloaked at the stragglers instead of breaking your cloak to kill them, which would end up drawing more enemies to you. Anyways, at ranks 2 and 3, we grab a boost to power cells and then a boost to duration. At rank 4, we have to choose either another power cell or radius boost. Now, radius is theoretically nice because it lets you more easily stealth allies, but the primary times that you're going to need to be stealthing others, you're going to be either on top of their dead body or making out with them on an objective, so it's not nearly as beneficial as you would actually think it is. Additionally, having an extra power cell is a monumentally useful upgrade. For every ammo consumable that you pop to solo cap an objective or whatever, you're going to be getting an extra 10 seconds of stealth out of it, so that's a really nice quality of life upgrade. This also ends up lining it up with our stickies at a total of 4 power cells, which is a full ammo crate when restocking, so it's just kind of a nice quality of life thing. At rank 5, our options are either duration or shield grid. We're going to be spending a majority of our time either in stealth or peeking out of cover for those quick sniper shots, so theoretically both of these are great upgrades. However, I found in practice, shield grid tended to perform a lot better. Duration definitely has its perk in that you get more time out of each grid you use when you're trying to solo cap a hack or an upload ring, but for the other 5 or 6 waves, it really doesn't do anything at all for you. Shield Grid, however, helps to keep you and allies topped off quickly when you're cloaked, so it really contributes towards letting you weave in and out of combat a lot more fluidly. We skip on rank 6, where our choices would be either Evasive Grid, which is just a movement speed boost for convenience, or Ambush Grid, which is actually a lot more useless than you would think it is. Ambush Grid sounds nice, but we don't actually get anything from it at all besides a little bit of extra damage on bosses. If you're unfamiliar with the concept of Shield Gate, in Mass Effect it essentially means there's a brief window of time after shattering an enemy's shields where you won't damage their health unless you meet a specific damage threshold. Ambush isn't actually going to boost our damage enough to put us through this breaking point, so it still takes the exact same number of hits to kill almost every single enemy, even when opening with a cloaked shot, so it's really not worth the investment. Instead of dumping the 6 points here, we get to put those elsewhere. Alright, a quick word from whatever sponsor YouTube decides to give us, and then on to the rest. Unless you use adblock, in which case this is going to be a really awkward transition. Okay, go! Next up is Invisicharge. Avenger Strike is used for the mobility, the stun utility, and then the invulnerability frame to negate large attacks like Hydro Barrages. As I already touched on, when an ally dies, most of the time they're in an awful position, so that means there's usually going to be enemies nearby. You can use Avenger Strike to instantly hop to that teammate so that way you can get them up quickly. You can also use Invisicharge to quickly cross the map for various objective-based reasons, to poke a device, to pick up and drop off the pizzas, and so on. At ranks 2 and 3, we're going to grab Recharge Speed and then Damage. At rank 4, we have to choose either Bleeding Strike or Recharge Speed. Bleeding Strike provides an awful damage upgrade, and since we're using Invisicharge exclusively for the utilities that it provides, we want that Recharge Speed to boost our potential uptime on it. At rank 5, we have to pick up either Damage or Flash Strike. Again, we don't need Damage because we're using Invisicharge for the utility, and picking up Flash enhances that utility. When you pick up Flash, it causes your Avenger Strike to tag all enemies within 5 meters of your target with a debuff that causes them to inflict 85% less damage for 5 seconds. This is an obnoxiously good upgrade. Basically, it means that whenever you jump to a target to kill them or to res a nearby ally or whatever, you're free to do so while mostly ignoring nearby enemies that are trying to tickle you. At rank 6, we pass on Cloak and Dagger to collect Disrupting Strike. Cloak and Dagger is excellent for a melee-based build, especially so now that Stealth Grid affects Avenger Strike, but we're not actually running melee, and I found melee to just not really work as well in Platinum because of how easy it is to get downed, so it's a pretty easy skip. And honestly, Disrupting Strike is way too good to actually pass up. Whenever you Invisicharge to an enemy, they're stunned for 5 seconds. This is beyond plenty of time for you to kill almost any enemy, and again, when using Invisicharge to get to an ally for a quick res, it's especially nice to have that destination mook stunned while you res your shitty friend. Our first passive is going to be Weapon Training. It's pretty straightforward, we're just here to beef up our total damage. At ranks 1, 2, and 3, we're going to pick up Weapon Damage, Power Damage, and then Weapon and Melee Damage. We're going to skip to rank 5 real quick. We want to collect Ammo and Targeting because not only is it a really great upgrade for our weak point damage, but the alternative talent is entirely irrelevant to the Avenger, so that makes this one a really easy choice. Alright, now here's where the build can diverge paths. At ranks 4 and 6, if you want to specialize in single target damage, go Weapon and Weapon. If you want to specialize in area of effect damage, go Power and Power. With appropriate boosters and equipment, either build path is completely viable. The power build can let you one-hit dogs with stickies and gives you amazing burst, while the sniper build lets you obliterate bosses and gives you beastly sustain damage. Honestly, I flip back and forth between which one I like best, so I'm just going to suggest both, and let you decide for yourself whichever one you like better. Our final skill tree is Bioelectric Defense. Since we skipped rank 6 of Stealth Grid, we have enough points to collect the first 3 ranks of this. This gives us a nice boost to our health and shields, some melee damage, and then some more health and shields. We don't need any of the last 3 ranks as they contribute basically little to nothing to the sticky spamming sniper playstyle. With that said though, if you don't like using Shield Grid, the talent that we picked up at rank 5 of Stealth Grid, you can instead pick up Regeneration here to achieve nearly the same effect. Shield Grid provides not only a slightly better delay, but also faster regeneration. So in my experience, I found it to be slightly superior, but they're essentially interchangeable. Outside of that, though, there's really not much incentive to detract points anywhere else in order to get the last 3 ranks here. Leveling the Avenger is an absolute cakewalk because of how she has Stealth Grid. I've accidentally reset her 3 times now, and each time I jumped right into gold at level 1 to get her kickstarted again. The only thing that I would think would be mandatory for leveling to make it really easy for you is immediately rushing Stealth Grid to rank 4 for those really juicy power cell increases, and then after that it's honestly up to you. I think the most optimal pathing would be something along the lines of following Grid 4 with Stickies to 6 for that nice boost to your burst, and then either Invisicharge for the protective utilities or weapon training for more raw damage. I'd place your final points when maxing out the last few cards of her into Stealth Grid rank 5 for that shield grid, and then the first 3 ranks of Bioelectric Defense. As leveling always goes though, just cater it to how you need. Put points wherever you feel would suit your playstyle best. Your best in slot weapon is by far going to be the Black Widow. It's seen some real snazzy buffs recently, and it is a total powerhouse now. There's no contest on this one. I tinkered around with a lot of weapons on her, and nothing even came close to how well the Black Widow performed. With that said though, it is an ultra rare, so I'm sure a lot of you haven't unlocked it yet. Your tier 2 options are going to be guns like the Vanquisher or the Dawn. Ideally, you want to have something that has a couple of rounds but still hits like a truck, that way you can shatter shields with enough shots left over to still kill the port jump afterwards. If you're at the point where you've unlocked multiple variants of the Black Widow, I would suggest either the Concussive for more total damage output, or Siphon to top off your health from any poke that you take. Bulwark is excellent, but rather unnecessary on the Avenger in my opinion. It's well within her reach to just wander around solo anytime she wants, so forcing yourself to stay tethered to a teammate for that damage resistance ends up just kind of being just that. It ends up being a tether, so it kind of limits you a little bit more than the other variants would. If you're running with a coordinated team and you guys are communicating and organized, then Bulwark is going to shine a little bit more, but outside of that, I would definitely stick with one of the other 2 variants. Your equipment depends on which build variation you opt for. If you decide to go with the AoE build, you're going to want to bring Warfighter package for that boost to both your gun and combat power damage. If you opt for the single target sniper oriented variation, you're going to want to pick up the Vulnerability VI for that huge 40% boost to your weak point damage. When it comes to boosters, it again depends on which variation you opt for. If you're running the single target sniper based variation, you're going to want to run both a sniper and then a weak point booster. Doesn't really matter which level, either way it's going to give you a little bit of extra output. If you're instead running the AoE variant, the most important thing that you want to have is a level 2 or higher combat power damage amp. This in conjunction with your talents lets you one-hit dogs with a sticky. Next up, you're going to want to run either a level 2 or above weak point booster or a level 3 or above sniper boost. Either one is going to let you rip off shields with a well-placed shot. If you're hosting, go for the weak point booster. If you have a lousy host, stick with the sniper damage for better consistency. Alright guys, girls, cats, dogs, and everything in between, I think that about wraps it up this time. So if you enjoyed this guide, drop a like to let me know, and if you're new around here, consider subscribing as well. Catch you next time, gorgeous.
Whee!